presents a slideshow to national security officials that is full of questionable assertions.
Of all the places where intelligence was being manipulated in the Bush administration, the Faith Shop was the key place.
There was a debate about how one characterizes the relationship between Iraq and al-Qaeda. Nobody made the argument that there was no relationship between Iraq and al-Qaeda.
I want to thank
The administration deploys its biggest guns to push congressional leaders for quick passage of a resolution to authorize the president to take military action.
It's an important signal for the world to see that this country is united in our resolve to deal with threats that we face.
The president made the point that there was an urgency to taking action, that it couldn't wait. He got very animated. He used uncharacteristically profanity and used the middle finger to demonstrate Saddam Hussein's disdain for the United States and for him personally.
A number of members of Congress, mostly Democrats, remain unconvinced.
I'm still very skeptical about Saddam Hussein's intent and position. Nothing has changed the basis for that skepticism.
The Senate Intelligence Committee requests a national intelligence estimate, a comprehensive summary of the evidence. NIEs are routinely delivered on intelligence issues, yet on this gravest of matters, none yet exists. In 3 weeks, the CIA pulls together what normally takes months. It is delivered just 7 days before the congressional vote.
Now, aluminum tubes are interesting, and I know there's controversy associated with it.
In my judgment, the CIA director, George Tenet, had become a political spokesperson for the administration. And that is not the role of the CIA. He was too often toeing the line that the administration wanted him to toe.
We think we've stumbled onto one avenue of a nuclear weapons program.
There's no question that there were erroneous judgments in that national intelligence estimate. The purpose was to sell a policy initiative, which was to go to war against Iraq.
The 90-page classified NIE asserts that Saddam is actively pursuing his WMD program. It cites the debatable intelligence on aluminum tubes, the yellowcake uranium purchase, and mobile weapons labs. But deep inside that thick document are strongly worded dissents that argue the evidence is weak, even wrong.
The NIE is sent over to Congress. It's kept in a classified vault, and as far as we can tell, only about a half a dozen senators actually read it. Had they done so, they would have seen that it was filled with dissents.
If I'd read the national intelligence estimate on Iraq, I probably would have I've done myself a favor by being better informed on the intelligence rather than listening to the administration.
As a congressional resolution to authorize war is put to a vote, most Republicans stand solidly behind President Bush.
The forces of freedom are on the march, and terrorists will find no safe harbor in this world.
Democrats are deeply divided.
It is wrong for Congress to declare war against Iraq now before we have exhausted the alternatives.
I urge senators to go down on the Capitol Mall and look at the Vietnam Memorial.
We were 2 months out from an election, and no one, Republican, Democrat, Independent, ever wants to be viewed as weak on national security.
I will vote to give the president the authority he needs.
The threat of Saddam Hussein with weapons of mass destruction is real.
It is a vote that puts awesome responsibility in the hands of our president. And we say to him, use these powers wisely and as a last resort.
In my heart, I knew that a no to the authority for the president was the right vote, but yet I was not strong enough to vote my conscience.
Joint resolution is passed without objection.
The vote is overwhelming. The margin is more than 3-1 in the Senate. It's more than 2-1 in the House. The president is officially given a free hand.
The days of Iraq acting as an outlaw state are coming to an end.
Powell walked into my office, and without so much as a fare-thee-well, he walked over to the window and he said, I wonder what will happen when we put 500,000 troops into Iraq and comb the country from one end to the other and find nothing. And he turned around and walked back in his office. And I wrote that down on my calendar, as close to verbatim as I could, because I thought that was a profound statement coming from the Secretary of State, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
The march to war begins in earnest. and it is Colin Powell who gets the job of selling it to the world.
What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence.
Anybody who says this was an intelligence-driven war, I believe, is mistaken. End stop.
I've seen incredible things, otherworldly things, but there are some things I've never seen before. This GE jet engine can understand 5,000 data samples per second, which is good for business, because planes use less fuel, spend less time on the ground, and more time in the air. Suddenly, faraway places don't seem so far away.